And it goes a little something like.
Welcome to the most pretentious show on the internet, hosted by the most delusional teenager on the planet. And so, after a long journey of laughing, cheering, crying, and gasping, I would like to present to you the definitive list of films regarding the good and the great of 2016.
And it goes a little something like.
We're waiting, sir.
Waiting for what?
Private Doss.
Hacksaw Ridge includes two major conflicts, one portraying a terrifying reality of war that real-life people go through, and the other showing the inner struggle of real-life war hero Private Doss. Desmond Doss is a man who deserves so much respect, and is a great human being. The fact a man can go through so much ridicule and punishment for not wanting to kill somebody, and still stay true to what he thinks is right, is nothing short of extraordinary, and shows his dedication throughout. Andrew Garfield is a great actor, and that should be common knowledge by now. Social Network, 99 Homes, and even when given a script as terrible as The Amazing Spider-Man, he has put on phenomenal performances, and Hacksaw Ridge is one of his best. Should it win the Oscar? Honestly, I don't think he should, as there's one person I believe is more deserving. However, props definitely go to Andrew Garfield, giving one of the best performances of his career. However, the standout in this movie that gave it a spot on the list is the war scenes. Regardless of Mel Gibson's past, one thing is an inarguable fact: this man can direct violence and war. If this movie was PG-13, it would not be as memorable or captivating. This isn't filmed like a blockbuster action movie, with cool explosions accompanied by a generic action soundtrack. This is disturbing, gory, dramatizing visuals that I expect to see in a true-to-life battleground. But sadly, this was far from flawless, hence why it's at the bottom of the list. The main thing that holds the film down is the extremely corny first act. I wasn't expecting this grounded, suspense-driven war masterpiece, and I was greeted by a sappy romance. It wasn't the romance that was the major problem, but rather how upbeat it was. Andrew seemed to constantly have this massive smile that actually got disturbing after a while. That being said, it can be argued that this creates a massive contrast to how brutal the third act is, as it makes everything even worse. There was good, there was bad, there was terror, there was optimism. I can assure you that Hacksaw Ridge is a roller coaster. It takes you all the way up, then shoots you all the way down again. Thanks to its amazing third act, I highly recommend you watch Hacksaw Ridge.
And it goes a little something like.
We could hear laughter coming out of the vents.
I have no idea as to why the trailer for this film decided to pop up into my recommended list a few months ago, but I'm glad that it did. If I had to describe this film, it would be weird, ridiculous, incomprehensible, outlandish. The point being, this true story is just too insane. I can't believe that these tickling videos actually exist. I can't believe the psychopathic things tickling can lead to, and I can't believe I loved this film as much as I did. Of course, you'd expect a movie about a person with a tickling fetish to be a surreal comedy. Hell, the man making this film says he intended it to be a comedy. However, the more you investigate, the more you stop laughing, and instead the tone transitions to a dark and tragic place that leaves you dumbfounded. The woman who makes these is proven to be completely sick, and it's very hard to turn away. It's very well paced, and is edited like some police detective drama, which makes sense. The criticism I will give is how anticlimactic the meeting is with her. The actual conclusion was satisfying, but for what you expect to be a great climax, it's instead a few lines of worth information. I'm not blaming the movie, of course, because they can't rewrite true events in what is a documentary, but it is unfortunate of how underwhelming it plays out. All I can say is, try your best to watch this film. It's by far the most absurd film of 2016, and the fact it's sadly all real is, well, weird.
And it goes a little something like.
I am a
all I have to do is look at one shot of this movie, and my heart explodes. Look at how beautiful this looks. An animator's worst nightmare is creating convincing water, and this movie has the guts to make its film take place in the ocean. I know this is Disney, and I should expect nothing less, but dear God, is this impressive. But not only is this gorgeous on the eyes, but also the ears. How Far I'll Go is a masterpiece, and if it doesn't win an Oscar, I'm going to break something. Not to mention how it's accompanied by this gorgeous animation. Did I mention it was gorgeous? The score of Moana is great. You're Welcome also being enjoyably catchy. Who knew The Rock could sing? Moana as a character is fantastic. She's funny, relatable, and has a very convincing character arc. The chicken, her animal sidekick, was also the cliché that I should hate, but surprisingly don't. The one character that does hurt the film for me is Maui. He also makes a Twitter joke instantly, not the best way to introduce yourself, and also has these really fast 180-degree turns. 1 minute, he's a selfish prick, then he suddenly turns nice and supportive, only for him to become the worst human ever 2 scenes later and return as a hero after a couple of minutes. For a film of such a well-paced story, Maui's character arc is very messy. But aside from a few nitpicks, the film is a very amazing and rewatchable experience. Did I mention the animation is amazing?
And it goes a little something like.
Before we go solving the crime of the century, let's deal with the rotting corpse.
Nice Guys was a true gem and kept me entertained for the whole 120 minutes. Nice Guys feels like a powerful love letter to the golden age of cinema that was made by moviegoers for moviegoers. It features 2 assholes, the slimy, greedy, selfish asshole, and the careless, psychopathic, remorseless asshole. They do good things for their benefit and couldn't care less, morally right or not. It isn't about doing good, and I love these guys. Russell Crowe and especially Ryan Gosling kick it out of the park. The film relied heavily on these two, and thankfully they managed to hit it out of the park. I've said that already. The comedic timing this film has is a gift from God. It knows when to have something catch you off guard, it knows when to be fast-paced, and it knows when to leave a long pause. The little girl in it, Holly, was good. Nothing special, but good enough. One thing I enjoyed very much was the colour palette and cinematography. It gives a very 70s feel, which is very unique and gives a lot of personality, which separates it from many lazy body cop films. The dialogue is really natural and really entertaining. It's not too realistic and it isn't too preachy. The action was surprisingly well directed, and it was nice to see these characters gradually start to care a lot more about their cause and become people who truly want to help make the world a better place. It was a very satisfying character arc. In conclusion, Nice Guys was a very likeable and enjoyable movie that was far more smart and competent than it had any right to be. I'll admit, I'm surprised it made it on the list, but I can happily state I had a blast, and I think you will too.
And it goes a little something like.
Now, have you thought of what animal you'd like to be if you end up alone?
Yes, a lobster.
Lobster is the kind of movie that deserves all the Oscars in the world, but it came out too early in the year to actually get nominated for any awards. That's because there's always that film. It was really difficult figuring out where to place this on the movie list somewhere. I wanted it to be much higher, but in the end it found its way at the number 6 spot. Lobster has a very unique style of comedy, which is to make everything feel so monotone that it becomes hilariously absurd. I can't imagine it guaranteeing a laugh from everyone, but it definitely got one from me. The way it presents its world and characters is oddly hypnotizing. Its commitment to stay so nonchalant actually makes you more interested in this film. However, it manages to include a massive statement about society, this one specifically about love and worthwhile relationships. I could write an entire video about this movie and its message, and I strongly recommend you watch Lobster to try and find your own interpretation. The music, cinematography, acting and writing all work together to create the most different and special film experiences of 2016. The ending effectively forces you to think about what you just saw and allows you to make some interesting discoveries about the film and real life. It's very frustrating that it can't be higher due to the fact it didn't hit me as hard as my top 5, but it still deserves a few hours of your time. Love it or hate it, it's really doing something special and unique, and is committed to its message, even if it sacrifices some emotional investment. Lobster is a true masterpiece.